Shalom. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, B'ka, Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, I want to acknowledge all Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Shabai from the GMS Denver camp. And I'm just going to go in on a quick chariot lesson. The chariots are the angels of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai who watch over the elect, because Yahweh has he's charged them to watch over the elect. But we go outside. A lot of times I go out for walks with my youngest daughter, and we see about anywhere from 7 to 10 chariots each night on our walk. But I'm going to show a chariot that it was actually my brother saw. He's not in the ministry, but he's my brother in the flesh. And this video that I have here doesn't do it justice. He had taken a better video of the chariot, and he's on his phone. You're able to zoom in and out, and this thing was like rotating. It had different colors. It was rotating like a wheel in the sky. But I'm gonna go ahead and just play it real quick.
Okay, that one's low because there's no flashing lights, nothing.
See how it's rotating? On his phone, you could zoom in, and it was like really crazy.
That one's low.
I could see it. You see it going like a circle?
Yeah.
So yeah, just a quick little snippet of that chariot. But like I say, it doesn't do the justice. When you zoomed in on his phone, I mean, you could see these magnificent colors, and it was seriously spinning, rotating. It was a sight to see. So I'm going to go in on Ezekiel, the first chapter, because he describes a chariot that he sees, in the sky. And let's go ahead and read it, this account of Ezekiel, first chapter. It says, verse 1, Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of the Most High. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiachin's captivity, the word of Yahweh came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar, and the hand of Yahweh was there upon him. And by the way, we're in the land of the Chaldeans right now, because that Chaldeans that goes into witchcraft and sorcery, and America is full of witchcraft and sorcery. It's basically, if you know, you know. Okay. So this is a modern day Chaldea here in Babylon, America. It says, And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Okay? So he's looking at a chariot up in the sky, And that chariot that I showed you, that I opened up the video with, it was pretty crazy, man. Honestly, when you could zoom in on the other phone, I mean, it was pretty amazing. And it just they're faith boosters. Every time we see those chariots, especially when we see them up close, closer than normal, I should say. But verse 5, it says, Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearances. They had a likeness of a man, and everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings. and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. Okay, and that sole of a calf's foot, just think about, like, if you were to Google like a ninja, like his outfit, if you look at the feet when they depict ninjas in movies and stuff, it's like the sole of a calf's foot, you know, where it's got that, just that one indentation, one line through the foot. But this chariot that we saw that night, it was sparkling just like the one Ezekiel saw. You know, it says, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. It says, and they had the hands of a man under their wings on their four sides, and they four had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they four had the face of a man and a face of a lion, and on the right side they four had the face of an ox, and on the left side they four also had the face of an eagle. And you know, for Salakia, forgive me, but it's been a while since I heard the breakdown on this. But there is a good breakdown that the elders mention, but I don't want to butcher it, you know, as far as verse 10 is concerned. But I know, like, the lion part represents like courage, you know. The eagle, what represents like swiftness and how these chariots move. It says, thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. Two wings of every one were joined one to another, and two covered their bodies. All right, so Ezekiel's giving you a description of the chariot that he saw, also known as a UFO, right? That's what the world ignorantly calls the chariots of Yahweh. The world calls them UFOs. It says, and they went every one straight forward, whither the Spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. So he's talking about these living creatures, which are the angels. Okay? The angels are the ones who man those ships, those chariots. See? It says, and the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Okay? And the chariots, they move like lightning. You know? You can read about that in Nahum, I think the 2nd chapter. Talks about how how fast they move. Let's get that real quick. Nahum 2. Yeah, Nahum 2 and 4, it says, the chariots shall rage in the streets, they shall jostle one against another in the broadways, they shall seem like torches, they shall run like the lightnings. And the torches, talking about that the beam that comes out of the chariot, which is, it could be used to beam a person up for salvation, or it could be used as a concentrated fire, as a weapon, right? The chariots are double-edged swords, if you will. See? But going back to Ezekiel 1, and it says in verse 14, and the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. So this, you know, the angels, they can move like lightning, because they're those holy ministering spirits, and they have that, I mean, they have spiritual power. They are spirits, you see. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his four faces. Okay, and when you, if you could have seen the other video that my brother got on his phone, I mean, it was amazing. It made me think of this verse right here about the one wheel. Because if you would have, when you zoomed in on that video I just showed you, it doesn't work on this phone, unfortunately. But when you zoomed in, it looked like a wheel just spinning with these magnificent colors and lights. I mean, it was pretty crazy, you know. I don't know how to transfer that video to where I can also zoom with my phone. I guess I just have a I must have a phone that's just low budget or something, because I mean, when you zoomed in on his phone, you were able to see those colors and those lights in that wheel spinning. All right, in verse 16 it says, the appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a barrel. Let me see something real quick. Bear with me. Look up that color barrel. All right, let's see here. Oh yeah, it says a barrel stone. Yeah, so the chariot that I showed you, it actually shows that color. Even on my video that's not so detailed, you could see the color of beryl, which when I googled it, it's like it looks like a greenish color, right? It's called mother of mineral to famous gemstones like emerald and aquamarine. So beryl is a you know, this color beryl, it resembles emerald and like aquamarine. Okay, but you could definitely see those colors of beryl in that chariot. And I'm gonna play the video again, even though you can't zoom in on it, you can notice that color beryl on the chariot, even without being zoomed in. So verse 17, it says, verse 16 in the middle of your verse 16. And their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. And when I zoomed in on that other video, you could see what it's describing here. Very similar. Verse 17. When they went upon their four sides, and turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful. And their rings were full of eyes round about them. 4. Okay? And here's the deal. When I was young, I remember when I was a kid, and you don't, sometimes, in your life you don't remember your dreams. But I remember as a kid, and I'm talking about way before the truth, way before I came into the truth, but I was a kid. And I remember I had, I don't want to say nightmare, but I had dreams, and they were terrifying, because I remember vividly looking up in the heavens and looking up in the skies in my dream and seeing these circles, and they had like faces on them in the sky. And this is what this verse reminds me of, But it was dreadful for me in the dream. So, I don't know if the Lord, I believe He was giving me a vision of the chariots as a young child, right? Because I was young as hell when I had those dreams. But I remember being terrified of the face, because like I say, these chariots, they had a face in the sky. It actually makes me think about the Aztec, the Aztec symbol, the circle with the face on the bottom, which represents a chariot. It pretty much was like that, but with color, as far as my dream is concerned. Okay? So anyway, let me keep reading. Just a few more verses here. It says, verse 19, it says, and when the living creatures went, and the wheels went by them, and when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. So the chariot and the angel is what he's seeing. The living creatures are the angels. It says, whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. And this kind of makes me think about that movie Avatar. You remember those animals, those creatures that they would use, they would ride them, but they connected. You know, they had to connect with their creature. If you don't remember, just go watch that movie Avatar. And when there's like a bond. Each creature that the avatar would ride, they would literally connect physically with the creature that they flew on or that they rode on. That's what this kind of reminds me of, right? Because it says here, and the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. See that? So the creature and the wheel that he saw, which was the chariot, they were like connected in the spirit. It says, when those went, these went, and when those stood, these stood, and when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. See that? So it was like the bond. They were bonded together, the chariot and the angel. And that's how we're going to be when we get our access to chariots in the kingdom. We're going to be like one with our chariots. You know, it's going to be like a part of you, if you will. But you know, I was just motivated to do this lesson. I actually just went on a walk with my youngest daughter, and we saw 7 chariots. We saw 6 on the way up there and 1 on the way back. You know, and it was just this casual night looking up in the sky. You know, the chariots are out there. So if you're the Lord chooses to reveal them to you, just look up, man. You're going to see those chariots. What the world ignorantly calls UFOs. Sometimes they just look like a tiny star in the sky moving across the sky. All right. So if you're an Israelite and you're in the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yoshai, look up, even in the daytime. But at night, look up and you'll see the chariots, man. In the daytime, look up, you will see the chariots. If it's the Lord's will to reveal them to you. But, you know, I can tell you that I had never seen a so-called UFO, you know, until I came into this ministry. And then, you know, I mean, I've seen countless chariots. Brothers in this ministry, we have seen countless chariots in the heavens. So call Allah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai, all right? Well, you know, with that, I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor, and I'm going to close it out with the video of the chariot. All the honor, all the glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Ka, Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the 4 corners of the earth. And Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. All right, never mind. It disappeared when I went to go pull it up. So, you know, rewind the video. You'll see the video of the chariot. But hey, that's what I'm saying. Look up. These chariots are out there, man. And it's a faith builder each time we see a chariot in the heavens, in the skies. All right? Shalom. Shalom to the elect.